So it's been a while since I made a video. I kind of didn't have a whole lot to say, but a lot has changed. And I always, the kind of videos I like the most are ones where I see people's stories, people's experiences in the organization, and kind of their background and everything. So I think there's a lot of stories, a lot of unique views out there still to be heard. People that maybe don't have channels and don't have an outlet to tell that story. So a very unique situation right now. My guy Timmy, who has joined me today, he's actually going back to the congregation, going back to the organization. He's studying now. He's about to um, get reinstated and do that whole process. So I think it was real important to hear his perspective, kind of hear where he's coming from, and get to know him a little bit because there's so many different stories and uh, experiences that people have. So Timmy, welcome to my channel. Why don't you just give people a quick background? First of all, you and I go back, over 3 decades. We go back a long time, so we've known each other a long time. Went to the same congregation. I think once when the congregations combined, when they redid the territories way back then, I think that's when we ended up in the same congregation. But it was a long time ago. Were you there at the quick bill when I punched old boy and they told me I had to leave? You were there, right?
I was there, but I didn't get to see it. I heard about it, and
Yeah,
that's what I was looking for you at the next meeting, but I didn't realize the congregations were separated.
yeah. That was
Yeah.
crazy, man. That was crazy. But yeah, why don't you just tell a little bit about your background? You were born into the organization, right? And your parents are still in. And like I said, you're going back. Why don't you just tell, whatever you want to share about your background in it and all of that?
Well, I came in born into it. Parents had already been in for about maybe 6 years previous to my birth. I'm the firstborn of them. They met in high school and were attending meetings then, and married straight out of high school. So in 1976, I come along and I'm going to the meetings as a child, going to conventions as a child, and being raised in what's typically called the truth. Um, and that's when I started to see that there were differences in the people that were in the congregation versus the people that were in the world. And unfortunately, once I started to cling to individuals in my neighborhood that are part of the world, it divided my attention span. So I was halfway in the truth and halfway out. Uh, at one point, I decided to get dedicated, and at not the convention, it was the
Circuit Assembly.
circuit assembly. I went
Yeah.
on and got baptized, I believe, at the age of 11.
Oh, 11, man. Okay. Um, and now going back, what do you feel like some of the differences are? Like, I guess when you reach out to the congregation, let them know you were coming back, they like an elder got a hold of you or something, right? And now you're studying again, and you're going back to meetings and everything. What's some of the differences that you see from before? Because you haven't. It's been what, 20 years or so, right?
It's been a little bit longer than that. It's been at least 27 years. At least,
Since you've been a part of it.
yeah, I got this fellowship at the age of, I believe it was 18. As soon as I turned 18, um, I went to college and I met somebody outside of the world, in the world, and it was found out. And so I got a chance to be interviewed by three brothers in the library. And as you see, it didn't turn out so good. I ended up instantly disqualified and a child on the way.
Hey, guess what, man? I'm still not disfellowshipping nothing, man. I just stopped going and disappeared on them. I vanished. Yeah, so I guess technically somewhere on somebody's books, I'm still a member somewhere. Haven't turned in time for a very long time though. So what's like some of those big differences that you see now um versus back then that you can remember? What's some I mean, what do you when you started engaging again and getting involved, what's some of the big things that you saw that was different?
Well, let me back up just a little bit. You and I have been friends a long time, and you started to tell me, look for the changes because they'll take you back. And I didn't really believe you.
Yeah,
So I started seeing brothers and sisters, of course, engaged in the ministry. And I'm like, well, that can't be a real witness because they got a beard down to their navel
yeah,
and
yeah,
having Watchtower and Awakes in their hands. And they finally came and knocked on the door, and I asked them if they were really witnesses. And they said, yes, they're part of the Watchtower and Track Society.
hmm,
So I noticed, I said, that's different. And I also, I look down and I see he's got a hunting knife on his hip. And I'm like, that's real different. So they said, well, we accept a lot of different backgrounds back into the truth. And it all starts with your willingness to come back into the fold, and there are things that's going to trip you up along the way, but we understand much more about that now. And for them, it was directed to start bringing more people in from all different backgrounds, not to be selective of, a person covered in gang tattoos. That's one of the things I noticed. One of my first meeting, there's former norteños covered head to toe in tattoos, giving
yeah,
comments.
yeah.
It's
So we should say real quick. So we grew up in the Midwest, and you're not in that area anymore. You are way out west,
yes,
um, in one of the wilderness states, as I like to call them. But there's kind of a different type of environment that you're in now. Um, so So you notice that with the beards, you notice, and like you said, you and I have been talking like all throughout these years. Even though we live in different parts of the country and we do different things now, we have different views on things. But um, when you had brought up, now obviously your parents want you to come back in, and they believe that that's going to save your life. And when you had told me that, like, man, I might be going back or whatever. Like I tell people all the time, everyone's on their own journey, and I never come to anyone and say, oh, don't do that, don't do this. I just tell people what I'm going to do or not going to do. But like I told you, a lot of things had changed. A lot of so it made it's a little easier to come back now.
yeah.
Um, you know, so with that being said, like with the beards and the things that you see physically, you notice any big like doctrine changes? Is there anything where that you started attending meetings and said, "Wow, this is different"?
Uh, just the way that the talks are presented, there's more of focus on people's personal attitudes towards the organization. I mean, there's still a lot of the they tell the stories of the Bible to use as example. They still have people participate in talks, but everything is geared towards not only having a person enjoy their experience, but to get the most out of their life because of the belief that things are at the it's the sign of the end of the times. And so there's a really big rush for us to protect ourselves. One of the biggest things that it completely shook me was they made an announcement that we should start saving up food and water for hard times. I've never once heard them say, prepare yourself for the end by saving up for calamity. They told us to put up away 30 days worth of food and water and medicine. And I would have never heard that at a public talk.
Oh, they said that in the talk.
Well, they said it in a talk and they said it in a public announcement too, that now that they have a website, it has a lot of news briefs on there. So I access the website too because I don't get to make it to the meetings very,
Hmm.
very often. I have to attend through Zoom meetings. And mostly that's our fault because I'm falling on hard times and because I allowed myself to remain in hard times. So the brothers are trying to help me out of that situation. Um, so far, they're still trying to figure us out.
Yeah. So when you're born into it, a lot of terms and things get kind of indoctrinated into your mind and the way you speak about things. Even when you were away before you started coming back, did you still call it like the truth and the world and all? I heard you use that a couple of times. Did you use those terms through that time, or is that just something you started using again now?
I just started using it again out of memory because from what I remember, I always called it the organization,
Yeah.
and that's what I remember. But then other things start to come back the more I immerse myself in it.
Yeah. Okay. So far it's been a good experience for you.
Yes, it has. And
All right.
one of the things I'll tell you what, here's the biggest thing that I noticed when I got this fellowship and I tried to attend then. One of the things that made me stop attending was I was always told to take a seat in the back. And if any of the brothers or sisters approached me, to immediately let them know I'm disfellowship, so they knew to walk away. My first time coming back, and I said, "Hey, I'm disfellowshipped," and they said, "We don't care." And I was surrounded by brothers and sisters, freshly meeting them, knowing I'm disfellowshipped, and each one of them coming up to shake my hand and give us a hug.
Okay.
They said, "You are now, you're still a brother. You may need to be reinstated, but you're still one of our brothers."
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I know they made a change. I think within the last year. I don't like go to the website and follow stuff all that closely. Honestly, I hear a lot of changes through other people's videos, or when my mom calls me to make her monthly run at me trying to come back, which I'm not doing. But I didn't know it was that deep. Where I know they were allowed to greet people and stuff, but yeah, that's definitely probably welcoming to people who are trying to come back. Now you mentioned we, so you also have the unique kind of perspective where you're in a relationship with a person, and she was not raised as a witness, but she's now studying too and trying to come join with you as well. So having that kind of perspective, what that's got to be kind of hard on being completely foreign to somebody and them trying to learn all those big changes. Like she was raised what Christian, just like another denomination or Catholic Baptist or something, right?
I'm not sure. What was your denomination? Christian. She was raised just straight Christian, attended regular Christian church.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
there's still some things familiar to her. Like we read the Bible daily, and
Uh-huh.
we read text. She participates in that, and there's still a lot of things familiar to her. Even though, for her perspective, that the King James Version Bible is different from the New World Translation Bible.
Yeah.
There's some passages that are they're, they're they're different. They're the same, but they're different.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's no
the wording is definitely different, and depending on what perspective you look at that from, some people, the witness's perspective is that they change it to make more sense and be more understandable, and to bring out certain Christian truths, like putting Jehovah's name back in places where they feel those removed, and things from the non-witness standpoint they feel like it's been manipulated. So there's different views from both sides of that. What is her has her experience been pretty positive with things? I know she's kind of newly into studying, right? Like she hasn't been studying that long. Um, yeah, how's that been going?
So far, she's only had one study. Right now, the study's been put on pause for both of us due to the elder and his wife. They have serious health issues, so he's had to really pay attention to that. So he encouraged me just to continue to study on my own until he can reschedule with me. But he still supports me as much as he can. Um, we ran out of food. I mean, we literally ran out of food, and he has a farm and he raises fresh chickens, and he brought us over like 3 dozen eggs and some canned goods and some fresh produce. And he didn't have to do that. He showed up after a 12-hour work shift and a 2-hour meeting, and showed up about 11 o'clock at night to make sure that we had something to eat the next day. So that
Yeah, and didn't you say he brought you like some suits or something too?
he brought us soup. He brought us freshly laid hen's eggs, um, canned goods, and he did it, after basically putting a 14-hour day in.
Yeah.
He and that helped her to see that the organization, they really do support its own. Um, we've spent a lifetime just getting rejected and getting ignored, and it put us into a position to where sometimes we eat, sometimes we don't.
Yeah, and so that I tell people all the time that like the average rank and file, witness, most of them are good people. Most of them don't don't really have ill will towards people. I feel differently about the governing body and the organization, but I think most of the rank and file people, that gentleman that you're speaking of would probably be a good person, and regardless of what religion he was in. It sounds like he's a good person, and he's helping you guys out. And there's a lot of people in the organization. I feel my opinion that are really are good people and believe they're doing the right thing. So yeah, that's good that you ran into someone that was good and helpful like that. Um, he didn't have a problem with your Red Dead Redemption creator player outfit.
No, because
I'm
mostly
I'm just messing with you, man. I just
no,
messing with you.
like it.
so so you mentioned running into some hard times, so I think that's important to talk about. And I mean, I know these things, and I'm not gonna share anything you don't want to share. I'll let you share what you want to share, and I mean, I can edit out whatever you don't really, if you feel like you said something you didn't want to say. But I know you were dealing with some issues, and it ended up leading y'all into a path right now where things are a little hard right now. I mean, what do you want to share about that?
Well, I'll start with, I tried to pay rent on time here through odd jobs doing handyman stuff. And for the most part, I kept up. And if I didn't keep up, I got caught up. And so this last go round, after we gave everything that we had, every penny we had in our pocket, uh, didn't realize they were selling the unit out from underneath us. New owner shows up and says, okay, time to go. So we've been in a scramble to pack up our belongings and basically just been throwing them out into the front yard before they come and do it for us. But in addition to that, the house itself was never worthy. We noticed that it was in disrepair. One of the days I walked in and I was actually on the phone with my fiance, and all she heard was a crash and a boom. And because I fell through the floor and ended up underneath the trailer.
You did the splits.
I'm not laughing at you, man. I'm laughing with you. No, I'm laughing at you a little bit, but
through the floor, and I was like, okay, it can't really be that bad.
yeah.
So I where the bathroom was at, and they forgot to tell me it was bad back there, and I fell through a second time.
You fell through the same hole?
No, there's another hole they didn't tell me about. So where's the bathroom?
Man.
I made it to the bathroom, and I fell straight through. And the only thing that saved me from actually hitting the ground is I landed on the axle underneath the trailer.
That's rough, man. Yeah. that's rough. I want to point out though, man, for some time now, I've told you to make your way back east. And I had you hooked up with a position at one of my companies that I own and all that, man. So I do want to point out, man, you had an outlet. Yeah, but I know you got some ties there and a whole bunch of stuff you got to take care of though. But then you had some health concerns too, right? I mean, you don't got to share specifically what they were, but then that also kind of hampered things for you too, right? Over the last few years.
Yeah, so in 1999, I ended up drinking some poisoned water. They don't want to explain to me what it actually did to me, but now they just call it Crohn's disease. They actually made a movie about the whole contaminated water issue called Aaron Brockovich. And
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
So I ended up drinking some of that water over a number of years. I didn't realize it. And the next thing I know, I started having internal issues to the point where
the same water that she drank?
The same water that she sued to have she sued to get rights for for the families of people that passed away from stuff that now they call Crohn's, diverticulitis. A lot of them ended up with leukemia and giant tumors that they couldn't operate on.
Man, we need a movie, man. Like it could be like Two-Time and Timmy, and like we can get Tyler Perry involved. Medea somehow could fit in. It'd be a good thing, man. Yeah, if we can get that going. But in all seriousness, that has caused some issues with you, since then, right?
Yes. So normally, a person in my position, the way it was explained to me, at one point I did have insurance. went to see a nutritionist, and they said that I have to take in a higher calorie and protein intake than the average person because my body refuses to absorb nutrients. Well, we don't have food all the time. So it's one of those things where I've been, my way to go up and it'll go down. Lately, it's just been going down. So it's scaring them to the point where, like even a week ago, I couldn't walk. I had to get help and assistance getting out of bed and going to the restroom. And my strength has started to increase more now since they started bringing some produce over, but it's not often. So I have to rely on like food pantries to go and try and find what they have.
Yeah, and then so your family helps because they're all witnesses. You have a big extended family, but they're all witnesses. So that's kind of limited because you have been on the other side of that, right? So
Yeah.
um
And
also go ahead. I'm sorry. What'd you say?
that's one of the changes I noticed also, because for years, for decades, they weren't allowed to speak to me. They actually changed to where you can speak to family members now.
Yeah, yeah, okay. So your communication's picked up with them now then.
Yes, along with the fact that uh, their advice is along with your advice. They said pack it all up, and if you can make your way out east and come and work for you, by all means do it. Just be careful doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough, man. I know you're going through some rough things. What I'm gonna do right now, I have your Cash App. I'm gonna throw that up on the screen right now for the duration of the time we talk in case anyone would like to help send you something. I'm sure anything would help, right? So I'm just gonna leave that up. I got that right on there, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, that's rough, man. That's rough. And so the journey back, how long has that been going on? 6 months or so, 5 months? How long you've been making this journey to get back into the organization?
Well, I reached out to try and to get a study about 5 months ago, and it was only a month and a half ago that the study actually happened. They were trying to pair me with the right person um, to study with. And
Yeah.
so the other person that they wanted to pair me with, he fell ill. And he's part of those changes that I noticed that they made, which is what made me want to go back. Was it used to be a thing you couldn't be a Freemason and be a Jehovah's Witness, and I see a lot of Masonic rings uh, in the congregation. So a month ago, one of the Masons reached out and said he's got the perfect person to study with me, and but he's an elder too.
So they're openly Freemasons and they're
Yes,
and they're elders in the congregation?
yes. There's one elder that fell ill that was supposed to study.
Yeah.
Uh, he's looking at his ring, it looks like he's a master Mason, and but I didn't realize that it changed. And I asked him, I said, I thought you couldn't do that. And he said they relaxed that whole thing with
Man, that must be like some new secret elder new light. I didn't know that. That's man, you learn something new every day. I don't think I've seen any videos that talked about that either, man. That's unique.
they
And
don't.
and I mean, have they spoken about it at all? Did you ask about the ring and ask and confirm they were Freemason?
I asked him if he was well, I asked him if he was a Mason. He didn't say anything. And I asked him one of the questions, which is, are you still in search of the light? And he looked at me and he just shook his head yes. But they don't talk about it. So what that
Yeah.
is they're basically saying that uh they still practice in the temple, but they don't attend the temple because, of course, they got to remain a witness. So, but as far as like the wearing of the jewelry, nothing gets said. They
Man,
even
we definitely ain't gonna say where you live because you might have them looking for you now, man, giving away their secrets, man. Um
well, I'll tell you this much: if they saw where I live, they wouldn't step foot inside. I mean,
well, a couple of them did, right?
one did, and he was dropping off some suits,
Yeah.
but he stepped right right back out. He popped in for 30 seconds, and I brought you some suits. Got to go.
Is it that bad? I mean, you don't got to answer that, man. But is it what scared him? Is it really that bad in there?
So I don't mind because it's not my living condition. We inherited. We needed a place to stay, so I said, that's fine. And when we came in, I was like, "There's no way you guys live like this." I mean,
Yeah.
there's black mold everywhere. I didn't notice it at first, and then I looked
Like
and I
still right now there is?
yeah. I mean, like I can show you real quick. Like I said, this is how they left the house. They vacated the house for now to give us time to move out. So in the
I
middle of
don't want
this,
you to move it too much in case your signal gets bad, but yeah.
okay. Well, I'll just give you a quick look. This is how they left the sink in disrepair. This is how they leave the floors. And I've literally sat here and like I refused. Like I'll cook on the stove, but like they leave their refrigerator and their trash area looking like this.
Who is they?
The owners, the previous
Okay.
owners. So they sold it to somebody else. That he said he's going to come in and tear everything out. He said we got to go, but he's going to come in and tear everything out. And they left a bunch of garbage behind. I told her not to touch anything. It's not ours. It's their responsibility. They left an infestation that's hard to deal with because they refused to do any type of insect controls. And so they just basically left it up to us. Now, since I'm familiar with some of the training that you asked me to take while I was out here, I was able to get mildly under control. But as far as the rest of it, the filth and the dirt, the rotten wood in the floor, like I got to tell her where not to step so she doesn't fall through the house too.
Yo, if you want me to edit any of that stuff you just said out, man, just let me know, man. That's deep, bro.
No, you don't have to do that. We cook mostly. We use our own utensils. We use our flatware. I have like small cookers, like propane-driven cookers. If we do end up with something with meat, I'll cook on the grill. And unless I can cook in a pot or the crock pot, we throw stuff in. And like last night's dinner, literally were bones. We put beef bones in the crock pot so we could make soup out of bones.
And then you tell me like you was going hunting. Like, what's some of the stuff that you hunted and ate recently?
So it hasn't been recent. It's been about a year and a half now because so long I've been living here. But I was out on the prairie at a place called the Diamond Bee Ranch, and I was supposed to be a ranch hand, and I worked really hard.
Telling your business about where you live, man, but that's all right.
Yeah. So basically, I got abandoned out there in the middle of a 7,000 acre spread.
Yeah.
So I had the coyotes would come for the trash. So I would shoot a rabbit, string up a rabbit. When the coyotes would come, I would kill the coyotes and skin them and eat the back straps and the legs, cook them like ham hocks. I ended up with I had meat for about a good 2 weeks off of 2 coyotes that I killed and skinned. Then I kept the tails and whatnot. I went to go get some firewood because I didn't have heat. So I would fill up the smoker, and every morning I wanted to get warm, I would stand outside, smoke the meat from the coyotes. And when I went to go get more wood, ended up finding a nest of rattlesnakes, shot them and ate those too.
And it all tastes like chicken, right?
It tasted like food to me. I cut that head off. I buried the head.
Yeah.
I hung it upside down to bleed, and I skinned it, kept the skins, and cut it up into quarters, and turned some of it into meat and some of it into like a brisket.
Man, so you out there on some real like Bear Grylls type stuff, man.
It was bad. The neighbors wouldn't share water, so it's real out there. It's real snowy. So I would go and collect the snow and put it in a pan and melt it, and that was my drinking water for about a month. The owner didn't come back for a month. He left me stranded out there.
So you're like a ranch hand, right? I
Yeah,
mean, when you first told me about this is stuff I didn't know like still existed, but I guess it is still a real job out that way in the West is just being a ranch hand. You live on the land, take care of the land, and you're kind of out there on your own, right?
yeah, but normally they're supposed to least have a well to supply water.
Yeah.
So none of the neighbors, each neighbor is a mile away. And I remember I walked miles and miles and miles to ask if I could fill up a or one of those 1 gallon milk jugs with some of their well water. And I got ran off the land of everybody. So on my
Man.
way off the land, he said he was driving by. He said, "Just melt you some snow, boy." And that's exactly what he said. And he kept on driving.
Boy,
Boy.
you
And
know, I'd
then
have had a problem out there, man. I wouldn't have been able to last out there.
I had a problem. So he knew I had a problem and he took off. But I did take his advice. I started melting snow and I had drinking water for a month. And he gave me just enough. I could melt enough to take a small sponge bath and have enough to cook some food with. I had a lot of dried goods like beans and stuff and rice.
Yeah.
So that's what I cooked. I'd melt it down, and just that was how I lived.
Okay.
The
Man,
reason
so
why-
you're going through it.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Um, what do you so what was kind of like your main driving force to like deciding to sorry, I had to reply to a message to deciding to go back? Like what was the big thing where you said, you know what, I'm about to go back and be a part of the organization again?
Uh, I'll tell you what started it. I was sitting down watching a show, and it was talking about the trials of Job in the lion's den. And I got to thinking, I was like, I really am in the lion's den.
Job, you mean Daniel?
Daniel being thrown to the. You're right.
Yeah,
Well,
Job wasn't in the lines, man. You need to. I'm gonna tell the elders, man.
okay,
Tell
so Daniel got thrown into the lion's den.
yeah, yeah. Job had trials, yeah, that they
and,
put him through.
yeah,
That
it was,
that 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 God and Satan in the Bible put him through.
yeah. And so it was kind of a conglomeration of both because they were telling both stories. So I just mixed it up a little bit. But I realized that I'm looking around, I'm literally in the lion's den. And then they went on to the next Bible story. It was like a story made for kids. And it was talking about the trials of Job being tested. But he had to lose everything. And I realized, I was like, man, I'm literally losing everything around me.
Yeah.
I started off good and then turned back around. And I was like, well, you know what? I do have friends here, and they're called Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay. And so that's kind of what made you start making that move again, and you reached out to them, and you've been going since then, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Man, so overall, how you feeling about it? You feeling pretty positive about going back? I know you hear, you know, a lot of things transpiring with the organization, and I know you've heard the good, the bad, and all of that. But obviously, in your case, you've decided that the good outweighs the bad. You feeling pretty good about the decision and about everything that comes with it?
I feel good, but I'm really worried that I'll mess up again because out of desperation. It's like even now I keep thinking, well, there's an easy way to make some money, but it's the wrong way to make money. And I was like, no, just stay the course. Just stay the course. If you got to be poor, like I told you the other day, after we get all our stuff out, that we were about to find a place to put a tent up, and you're not allowed to just pass an ordinance. They'll arrest you and give you a fine for it. But I told her, I know a couple places, and out here, the snow and the cold will kill you. You got to know how to actually survive out there and what to do.
Yeah. So, man, I just want to point out again to anyone who's seen this video, I did put your Cash App there, in the lower corner of the screen. So anyone who would like to help you guys out, definitely do so. Anything would help. Um, is there anything? What you think is your biggest challenge going back right now? Like, what do you think? Is it something doctrine related? Is it just changes in your own lifestyle and adjusting to that life? So what do you think like the biggest challenge is right now?
My biggest challenge is that my mind has been so preoccupied with day to day, not just the move, but the health concerns. Um, the brothers were actually kind enough to go and purchase my prescriptions that I needed. I just got out of the hospital because I actually started to have a heart attack at 1 o'clock in the morning, and they said I was very close.
Like not
So,
last night, right? You just mean of some other day, right?
no, about a week ago. I got
Oh,
out of
okay.
the hospital. I got out a week ago, and that's when I
Right.
couldn't. That's when I needed assistance walking back and forth to the restroom. I'd lost the use of my legs barely to the point where standing on them, I would fall to the ground. So somebody donated a cane to me, and I've gotten stronger since then. I took your advice on some exercises to do, and it actually has helped me to at least be able to walk around and move around.
Yeah.
So that was one of the best pieces of advice you gave me. But as far as with the organization, I'm worried that I'm going to mess up, or they're going to still see me as a person, like they say, bad association. You mentioned once before in the previous conversation about having adventures back in the day, and
Yeah.
some of those adventures didn't stop. I still kept going on, um,
Hey,
and that could.
so and I'll let you get to your thought in a minute, but if I don't say this now, I'm gonna forget it. Um, as far as adventures, so my favorite adventure, it was embarrassing and it was funny at the same time, but you and I, this was a long time ago. Um, but I was talking to a girl. I'd met her at a convention or somewhere, maybe in Pittsburgh. I don't know where I met her. I met her somewhere, but she lived in Cincinnati. Um, and you and I drove to Cincinnati, and there was a girl I was talking to. Then I think she introduced you to another girl. And these are witness girls. So fully baptized, raised in the organization, witness girls. Um, you and I drove all the way to Cincinnati, and then we went to the meeting. We went out like to a movie or something with them on Saturday night. Then Sunday we went to the meeting and sat with them. And for anyone who doesn't know, like when you go like sit with someone of the opposite sex at a meeting, well, that means y'all engage. It's very serious. Like something, it can't be that you can't casually date, right? So we went and sat with them, and I didn't even know they were going to sit with us the way that they did. I sat down, the girl I was talking to sat beside me, and then you sat down, and then the other girl was beside you, and that just got everybody's eyes in the congregation. We didn't know the people from that congregation, but that was their home congregation. But um, after that, as soon as the meeting ended, um, one of the elders came up and invited us to their house for dinner. Um, and so we went to their house. It was an early dinner. It was probably, I don't know, 5 o'clock, 4:30 or something when we got there. Um, but the funniest thing, man, they were grilling us. They had given like the girls a sign, that they needed to go downstairs, and they started grilling me and you about our theocratic goals, and what we were doing in the congregation and what we were trying to do in the congregation. You remember that? You remember that day?
I remember that we sat at a
Yeah,
very feast. They made a feast
yeah,
for.
it was a feast, man. It was some of the best food I've ever had. But and a whole bunch of people brought food. There were probably like 5, 6 elders there, and their wives and their kids. I remember the two girls you and I were talking to, and then there were two twins. All these young ladies were very beautiful young ladies, but the two twins were there too. I think the two twins' dad was like the city overseer or something. So all these elders were there. They start grilling us. They asked me, and I start lying. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this and that. My goal is to become an elder, and I want to serve with the knee. I started saying all kinds of stuff because I was playing the game. They asked you, and do you remember what you said?
I do. They asked me, "Where are you going, son?"
Well, yeah, first they asked you what your goals were, and you was like, nothing. And then and then you stood up, and we were sitting around this big, giant family dinner table with all these elders there with us, and me and you. You just stood up and started walking to the basement door where all the girls had disappeared to. And they were like, "Where you going, son?" You said, to find the girls. And I'm like, no, in my mind, I'm like, no. But I couldn't say nothing. I just looked at you crazy, like trying to wink, like, man, what are you doing? But I couldn't really say nothing. And they were like, no, come on over here, man. They'll be back up in a little bit because they weren't done grilling us. That's kind of what happens when you're coming down and doing what they considered courting, females in the organization. But then you still didn't come right over. You were trying to get down in that basement, man. And I'm like, what are you doing? I'm like, you trying to get us this fellowship. Like you were making a conscious effort to try to get us in trouble, man. But that was hilarious and embarrassing at the same time. You remember that day?
Yes, I do. I remember it well now. And I remember as soon as it came up my mouth, I knew I messed up.
Yeah, man, what were you doing? I'm like, oh, what are you doing, man? Yeah, that was hilarious, man, and embarrassing. And it was hard to come back from that. I mean, after that, it got awkward. And they were just looking at us, and I'm just looking at them like, pass the mac and cheese, please. I mean, what am I supposed to say at that point, man? And then the second part that was real funny with that, man, we left there, and the two girls we were talking to, and the two twins came with us in the car. You remember that? So me and you was in the front, and the four of them had squeezed into the back seat. You remember that?
I remember that well. But I remember.
Do you remember what came next?
Here's what I remember. I remember all of a sudden I heard everybody bust out laughing in the back seat.
Yeah.
I looked back.
And I was confused because I didn't know what was going on, but all four of them were squealing. Then what happened? Go ahead, man. I'll let you finish the story.
All right. So I usually would carry a travel bag with me, and they went through my travel bag just out of curiosity, and they pulled out a couple of adult magazines called Swank. And I remember that. And
all I remember is one of them was called Swank. And I was like, I didn't even know you had it, man. So I'm like, what? Man, that weekend, man, I think you were just on a mission to get us in trouble, bro.
Yeah, I know that I was never allowed to call them, see them. I think I tried to call once, and I got hung up on immediately, and then and I was blocked.
Yeah. That was an adventurous weekend, man. That still is just hilarious to me. But at the time, I was like super embarrassed, man. It was like, I don't know. I think he was trying to get us in trouble, man. All you had to do was tell the girl you didn't like her, man. You didn't have to get yourself banned from the city, man.
Yeah, I kind of did. I know that.
I'm just messing with you, man.
I wasn't supposed to come back to that congregation and speak to any female. I know that.
Yeah, I didn't go back, man. I was like, man, what can I say? And then the bad thing is, one of the elders there, if you remember, his brother was an elder all the way in our congregation. So I'm sure he called. I mean, they never mentioned it to me, but I'm sure he called and told him what had happened that day.
Yeah.
Oh, she tickling your chin, man. What was that?
So she this is my fiance Mandy, and so
hey, Mandy.
Hi.
She's been there taking care of me when I can't take care of myself, and it's been one of those things where once I realized that I can't do it alone, that was also a deciding factor in going back to the hall too.
Yeah, she got on the Red Dead Redemption hat too, man.
Yeah, she fits the part. She does. He does.
Yeah. So I mean, man, it's been all that time away. Did you explore any other religions while you were gone? Or did you just kind of just stay on the outskirts of, in your mind, still being a witness, but not being an active witness? How did that work out in your mind during that time?
During that time, I thought I would, what a lot of men of color do is they will start with going to trying to be a Muslim, and I realized that I didn't want to do that. So I wanted to get into some of the Eastern practices, and it was one of those things where I wanted to study Taoism and Buddhism. and that wasn't for me either. That was really short lived. I think I lasted a month. Uh, then I started to study with Moorish Science Temple, and the thing about them is they also, their tenant has been to study the Bible, so that was kind of strange to me. And I said, well, you guys call yourself this, but you study the study of Christ. So I think they have a word for it, about what they call missing chapters of the Bible.
Yeah.
So there's a huge study in that direction that I participated in for 20 years. And, I've since distanced myself in an effort to make sure that I'm not mixing faiths. So,
Yeah. So
but
I
for
don't know a whole bunch about the Moors faith. When you say missing Bibles, do they utilize also like like the Ethiopian Bible, the books of Enoch, the books of Jubilee, stuff like that? Is that what they're talking about, or are they just saying like there's specifically like certain pieces missing of just the actual like normal Christian King James Bible or anything?
somewhat what it is, it's a paraphrasing of what they call the 18 missing chapters of Jesus' life. So the chapters you won't find in the Bible. So that's what I studied for 20 years was some of that. And what I realized, it was actually a form of Freemasonry. If you go through a Freemasonic Bible, these are actually excerpts from that that the Freemasons expound on to suit their narrative. And so that's what the Moors were doing. They took out excerpts to suit their narrative. It taught me some things, but it also distracted me for 20 years.
Okay. Um, and when you were young, when you were in, like, you didn't have any issues with any of the witness doctrine, right? You were fully in and all the way 100% in, right? Nothing really. There was nothing that you ever questioned at all.
You talking about back in the day when I was
Yeah,
in?
yeah, yeah. When you were in the first time, yeah,
There were things that I questioned. One of the things that always stuck on my mind was, um, I remember when I would first open the Bible, there used to be something called, it had the first page said that this is the book of the Tetragrammaton. It's no longer there. You'll never find it anywhere unless you have a 30-year-old Bible. And then it had something that they called it was the Greek Aramaic spelling for Jehovah, and it said Yad He Vad He on it, and you don't see that anymore. But you can't ask about it either.
yeah,
So when that came out, it made me wonder what other changes was made. So I've still been looking, I've still been checking it out,
yeah.
but it's
So
something
as
where
far as like the doctrine goes now, like, so you firmly believe that, like, those same teachings, like, Armageddon is around the corner. You need to be a baptized witness part of the organization or in order to survive. Although I think they may have changed that recently, where they say like you can join at the last minute once Armageddon stops. So I think it's a little bit different now. But you firmly believe all those teachings, right?
I do believe it. I mean, I still have my doubts just because there's been times where it was said that everything was going to end and it didn't. So
Yeah,
that's, and I was like, well, now it's being really expounded on again. But I remember several times when it was like, hey, this is the end of the times, and be prepared, empty your account and everything else. And it's probably something I shouldn't say, but I know that a lot of individuals turned over assets to that didn't come back to them. They turned it over to
hmm,
the so the people that I study with, I believe they're a very good group, but I do remember some stories and actual events of things that to this day still kind of scare me. But as far as the
yeah,
doctrine, they don't dwell on that anymore. They just dwell on getting yourself right with in the eyes of Jehovah, and doing it through personal study and dedication to reading the Bible and applying its applications, which is it's never been a problem with me. Um,
yeah, yeah. I mean, and as you know, I mean, we talk all the time. You know that for me, I'm not with it at all. but like I tell people all the time, everyone has their own journey and path to be on. So that's why I thought it was important to have this conversation with you, just to kind of show. I have a few different people, a couple of them a couple of them you don't, lined up. I'm gonna start just talking to, seeing different perspectives and where people go, because the main thing I see when I'm looking at videos is everything's about, oh, I left, or I hate it, or they lied, which I believe they have as well. But you don't really see that in between voice, and I think it's important to kind of see different people's perspectives who are at different stages. You have a unique one, and we even talked about the fact if you even wanted to do this video, because I'm sure someone would have a problem with you doing it, but you wanted to go ahead with it. At least you're not reinstated yet. You definitely couldn't do this after you were reinstated.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I think it's a good view. That, man, that's a big cup. What's in there, man?
Electrolyte water.
Oh, okay. You
They
got it,
told me.
something on your giant mustache.
What? Oh man, come on.
They're gonna talk to you about that. They're gonna say, now, brother, I know we said you could have a beard and a mustache, but this one's a little out of control. And they brought suits already and food. They're gonna bring some clippers next.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Well,
But I mean, any final points, that anything you feel like you want to share, that you feel like you is important to know? Again, for anyone watching, I have your Cash App on the screen. So with everything going on with you, I'm sure any small donation would be appreciated, or large donation. So that's on the screen. Anyone who feels so inclined, definitely drop something in there for you. But I mean, anything else that you want to share about the journey, and kind of how you feeling with things, and where you feel
yeah,
your path is going?
yeah. Right now, I could say my path is split. The living conditions that I'm in right now, even though I'm short-lived here, I think it contributed a lot to the overall bad health, because um, I woke up a couple times where they forgot to turn the gas off, and her and I woke up vomiting and sick with headaches, and I think they did it on purpose. There were 4 burners with the gas slightly on after they left for work,
Yeah.
and
So
so
I think we should probably clarify that a little bit. You said they a few times. So you were renting a portion of a house, but some other people lived in another portion of the house, but you had a shared kitchen, right?
yeah, yes, we just rented one room,
Okay.
and we shared the bathroom. Uh, we shared the kitchen until I saw how filthy it was, so I would just cook on the grill, and every now and again I'd clean out one of our own pots and clean there. But when I say they, it was 3 other people,
Yeah.
and so one was from Zacatecas, the other 2 are from Chihuahua, Mexico,
Okay.
and they
And
would.
they were like ranch hands or whatever. Also, like they were workers, right?
They're workers. They call themselves rancheros,
Okay.
uh, but they actually are employed with the Latin brothers and sisters here, where they get the jobs no matter what. So mostly it's drywall and paint.
They're employed by witnesses.
No, no, with their brothers and sisters. It's like a
With
whole
their
big.
brother. Okay, I thought you were saying the witnesses. Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, but they
All
only
right.
give you
And
a job.
and
So
and so they were doing crazy things in the house, and you guys just had to put up with it because you just were renting the one room.
1 second there.
I can still see you. It broke up for a minute. Can you still hear me? Yeah,
Okay,
there's
I think
back.
you're back.
Yeah, it's back. Um, yeah, cool, man. So
Yeah, they were doing some underhanded things to me. Some
yeah,
very underhanded things. I got real sick one day with a bad stomach. So the fuse boxes in one of their rooms, they turned off the electricity to that end of the house, so I wouldn't have electricity down there. Until I got so upset that they They wanted to ended up turning it back on, but my antibiotics were liquid and they went bad already because of my small mini fridge. It had to be temperature controlled.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up being the retrieved haven't recovered.
Yeah, you broke up for a minute, but I get the gist. I get the gist of what you're saying. So what's the timeline look like to getting reinstated?
They said that depends on me. They said the biggest part of that is continued study and meeting attendance. They said that's a real important part of it. Since we don't have a vehicle, we have to ask them to give us a ride to a meeting. So we're 3.5.
Man, there must be some bad storm out there. Yeah, well, that's cool, man. Well, I got your Cash App on the screen. I think your story is kind of unique, man. Maybe we can do a follow up one, probably before you're reinstated, and talk some more on it. But I got your Cash App there on the screen if anyone wants to contribute and help you out, man. And we'll be in
I'll tell
touch.
you,
But what'd you say?
I can tell you one more thing. One of the they tried doing, and I remember this plain as day. I got a small side street restoring some car, and my fiance comes out, says, "Hey, they threw all your food out." And I said, "What do you mean?" I walk across the street, all my food, all my cooking to the middle of the yard, and was taking it to the trash, and said I wasn't allowed to use their fridge. So I was like, okay. Of course, I paid it back in kind, took out and threw out their stuff, which I shouldn't have done. So I need to get anyway back in the shower head. We couldn't.
Man, your video froze up again, but I got the gist of it. Like they threw all your food out, so you threw all their food out. Y'all was kind of doing a tit for tat type thing, right?
Yeah. And so instead, they took all the fixtures out of the bathroom, so we couldn't use the shower or the sinks.
Now that's something petty I would do. Like I would just take out the toilet.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah, but no, that's yeah, I feel you, man. So that Cash App is up on there if anyone wants to share. I want to do a follow up one because I know you're about to be moving out of there soon, man. Just to kind of get the progress, see how things are going. But I think your perspective is good for people to see and hear, and to understand that there's different people at different
Okay,
levels.
thank you. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah,
And
man.
I'm
You
sure
broke
there'll
up. Did
be
you hear
more to
what I was
tell the
saying?
next time we talk.
Cool, man. Yeah, I think we're breaking up. We got little bit of a delay now. It must be a storm or something out there. But that's cool, man. Thanks for your time. And that Cash App. Is there any other communication avenue you want to say or anything? Any other way people can reach out or help you if they want to or anything, or pretty much just the Cash App?
Right now, it's just Cash App. I do have a GoFundMe, and I can.
If you send me that link, man, I'll put the GoFundMe in the video description. Um, and then people can click on it and take a look at it.
Okay. I'll take and
All right.
locate that, and I'll get it to you. Appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll be in touch, man. It was good talking to you, and thanks for sharing your story.